Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to Houston. Welcome to TechEd. Hope you're enjoying the conference so far, day 2, midday. Thank you for coming and attending the OneDrive for Business overview session. My name is Mikal Gideoni, and I'm a Director of Product Management for Microsoft from Redmond, in charge of SharePoint, part of the Office 365 team. And I'm really excited to be here and talk to you about OneDrive for Business. As probably you've noticed, and if you haven't, I'll remind that to you, this is a very evolving product for us, and takes a lot of our attention, lots of investments. We've made a lot of recent news over just the past months and weeks. And so what I'm going to do today, in the next 60 minutes or so, I'll cover first I'll take a step back and talk about the modern workspace and some of the challenges that organizations face. Then I'll talk about a bit of the future of work and office and the role of OneDrive for Business there, so introducing OneDrive for Business as part of it. And then the majority of the time, I'm actually going to spend in demos. And so I'm going to demo the user experience. I'm going to demo mobile experience across devices. I'm going to talk about the admin features and so forth. And so we'll spend a lot of time across those devices. I'll finally finish off with a bit of a roadmap and recap of the recent announcements for those that haven't been following those. And so, sounds like a good plan? Yeah? OK, great. So when we take a step back and look at the modern workspace, it has changed from, say, 10 years ago or even a few years ago. The workspace is very dynamic. And so not only that people have more devices, more options, but also we have different people coming to the workspace and expecting different expectations. Some of them are used to the way that they worked before. Some of them are coming with recent social networks and getting used to getting information at the right place at the right time. And so this is creating a bit of tension that we need to make sure that we solve. Device explosion. So more and more people are bringing their own devices to work and are bringing more than one device and expect everything to work seamlessly across those devices so that they can become productive. Analytics everywhere. And so as we have all this social networks and as we have all this information overload, there is an expectation that I can get better insights, that the information can come to me, that I can have the tools to deal with that multitude of devices and information. And then, of course, compliance and control. When everything like that happens around you, you need to make sure that privacy, security, and compliance are still top priority for the organization. So the question is, are organizations prepared for that? And so just thought I'll bring a few stats from different researches. And so apparently organizations, 75% allow personal mobile devices for business use. Probably sounds familiar for most of you. However, only 25% of the organizations have a BYOD policy in place. And so not everything is as secure, as private, as compliant as it probably should be. 49% of work requires network contribution. You expect people to be on there. You expect people to actually understand what's going on, not just outside of their immediate work and immediate team. However, only 80% of employees are actually ineffective at 80% of employees are actually ineffective at collaboration. And so we need to help them collaborate, help them share more easily. So 10K new federal and industry regulation created just in the last 5 years. But 93 of the employees admit to violating compliance policies. So we're really good at putting restrictions on our users, but then our users are just they're smart. They're just gonna go around it if we're not helping them do that in a way that works for them as well. And then 40% growth in global data generated in a year. 62% can use information for effective decision making. So again, when we think about the tools that we give our users, our employees, we need to make sure that we actually help them with this growth of information and growth of data. And so all of these things are some of the parameters that guide us when we think about the new office and the future of work. When we think about the next generation or even the existing generation of office, we take into account a few things. Natural expressions. It's really all about creating great user experiences that would work across device, that would work across mobile, that would really resonate with end users and would let them collaborate and work seamlessly. We think about the social workplace. So making sure that people can work in the organization in the same way that they can work outside. So today, a lot of people are using social network outside their org. The flow of information that happens outside of work, usually they hear about things that are happening outside of their work faster than they would hear about things that are happening inside their org. And so we really want to make sure that we allow employees to work like a network, to work like they're connected. It doesn't matter hierarchies or org structures. Just make sure that the information flow in the org is as vibrant as outside of work. But again, with this flow of information and with the increase of networked employees, there is also the need for personalized insights. And so the ability for people to see the information that they need and for the information to reach them rather than for them to go and find this information. And when we talk about that later on, if you attended Julia's or the keynote yesterday and saw Julia's demo, when we think about things like Oslo and the Office Graph, those are the things that are enabling the social workplace and the personalized insights. So really making sure that the information that you need is at your fingertips. When we think about Power BI, so if you attended the BI session yesterday, and you think about how to really make sure that people can make decisions faster, and not just the people at the top or the business analysts, but everyone, every user that is using Excel can make powerful decisions through Power BI. That's how we think about personalized insights. And finally, responsible empowerment. We saw the stats. We know that users can get around everything, every restrictions, regulations that we think they comply with. And so really making sure that we make it easy for them to comply, that it's not coming, that the regulations and compliance and security and privacy is not coming in the productivity of the user, that users can still be productive and we can help them actually stay compliant. And so all of those things apply for everything that we do in Office 365, but are super relevant for file sync, share. And so when we think about OneDrive for Business, all of this apply to the way we think about how we're moving forward OneDrive for Business. We really want to make sure that we're creating great user experiences, allowing people to share, to broadly work on documents that they own and that other people own. We want to be able for them to find the right content as fast and as easily as possible. And we want them to easily work in compliance with the company's security, privacy, and compliance policies. So when we think about OneDrive for Business, we describe it in three pillars. Of course, it's all the files that you have in one place. So for those who haven't noticed or haven't followed, 2 weeks ago, we announced that we're increasing the storage per user for every user of OneDrive for Business to 1 terabyte. That's almost unlimited. So I don't know a lot of people who can get to that storage limit. And so now every OneDrive for Business user, whatever offer or service they're using, is going to get 1 terabyte of storage as part of that subscription. Anywhere access, of course, that we understand that people bring their own devices and people work across devices. And so we want to make sure that users can access their files anywhere on any device. And so I brought here 3 of them. I could have brought more, but that was even challenging with those 3. And so essentially, we are committed to that, and you're going to see us. Over the past year, we released more support for mobile clients, and you're going to continue and see us do that. And I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. And then sync clients. So of course, have your files offline wherever you need them. We have sync client today for Windows, and we announced at a SharePoint conference that we're also going to have one for the Mac coming later this year. And so we're definitely committed for mobile and for sync clients for wherever you need it. But that's not only how we think about OneDrive for Business. The way we think about OneDrive for Business is also about getting work done together. And so when we think about teams, really making sure that you can share files internally and externally with anyone that you need to work with. We have Office client integration. So when we think about your files, we want you to have the best, the most high-fidelity experience and deep integration with the Office client so that you can work on documents, so that you can co-author documents, so that it's going to be extremely easy for you and extremely great to just work on Office documents and work together with others on those documents. And then the last thing is really about search and discovery. And so allowing you to find your documents, to be able to discover your documents. And that's, in addition to the search experience that you have in the web browser, also what we're building now with Office Graph and with Oslo. And I'm going to demo that in a bit. When we think about get work done together, we think about OneDrive for Business as a core piece of Office 365 and a core piece of everything that you do. Whether you work with Yammer and want to have conversations on documents, it should be right there with it in the experience of OneDrive for Business. And so we're building deep integrations there. When you're sending email and you want to collaborate on documents, we wanted to make it super easy for you to just work on your OneDrive for Business documents. So every experience that you think across productivity should be deeply ingrained with OneDrive for Business. And that's where we're moving forward, and I'm going to demo a bit of that. And then finally, of course, a trusted enterprise-grade service. And so when we talk about compliance and responsible empowerment, we want to make sure that we take security management, privacy, admin controls, it's all part of the service. And so you're saving your work files, and it's different than the way you'd approach just your personal files. Because your work files, you need to have e-discovery, you need to be able to have auditing and reporting, you need to be able to manage them, you need to be able to do data loss prevention so that if someone shares something with credit cards or with social security numbers or with passport numbers, you want to be able to easily avoid that and help the user understand that this is not an operation that the organization wants them to do or allows them to do. And so definitely this is part of a trusted enterprise-grade service. When you think about SLAs, this is backed up by Office 365. So all the certifications, all the service level agreements, everything that applies to Office 365, of course, is backing up OneDrive for Business. And when you think about it on-prem with SharePoint, the same thing. So SharePoint and Office 365 are backing up OneDrive for Business. It's not something out there in the sky. It's not a standalone thing. It's a core piece of both SharePoint and Office 365. And so this is backed up by an enterprise-grade service, and you shouldn't expect less than that. So we introduced OneDrive for Business for the first time as in the name SkyDrive Pro back in February of last year when we GA'd SharePoint 2013, and when we started rolling the new Office with Office 365. We haven't you didn't find us standing still since then. Since then, we were sort of running, and so we are innovating on a fast pace. I just put here a few of the things, but over the past year, we released more than 100 pieces of innovation to Office 365. A lot of them actually touch OneDrive for Business. I put here a few of the things that we've done, and you should expect us to see more of that. On the way here, when I stood in line trying to get into the session, I ran into this TechEd alumni, and he found out I'm the speaker, and he asked me, can I ask you about this feature? When is that going to come through? And so, unfortunately, I couldn't tell him tomorrow, but what I can guarantee you guys is that every feedback that we hear from you is getting into our queue. And so we are no longer, we have to wait 3 years to innovate and address customer feedback. We can do it on a rapid pace, and we're doing that. And so the same deck that was presented at the SharePoint conference a month ago was not up to date because we already updated the storage limit from 25 to 1 terabyte. And so over the past year, an example, we started off with, I think it was 25 megs file size limit. We upped that to 2 gigs. We started off with 7 gigs of personal storage. We upped that to 25 gigs, and then 2 weeks ago to 1 terabyte. And so we are moving, and we're moving fast. And so if you take this deck, probably in a month, it's going to look a bit different, and that's fine. But it's all goodness. It's all goodness because we keep updating the service, and we keep making it better and better. And so if you have a question, is it available today? And the answer is no. It probably will be available in the summer or sometime like that. And I'm going to have a slide at the end calling out some of the things that are in the works right now. And so just over the past year, we increased the storage limit tremendously. We increased the files upload limit. We introduced a lot of UI features, so shared with me the ability to be able to know where your files, the files that people shared with you. I don't know about you, but when people share with me files over email, it's hard for me then I usually either erase the email, delete the email, or just can't find it inside of all my inbox. And so now I have a shared with me view that just helps me to track all the files that were shared with me. We did a lot of investments on mobile devices. And so OneDrive for Business for iOS, we released a few versions of that already. Office Mobile on Android and iPhone. Office on iPad that was just released a month ago. Integration with Yammer, so post to Yammer, and there is more coming on that. Simple controls and smart search. Those are 2 things that we just, today we published a blog post that is already rolling out to customers. So my slide on coming soon is already out of date on that front. And so again, lots of innovation coming to OneDrive for Business and lots more in the future. Yeah? So I'll answer that question, but the request here was that when people ask questions, they go to the mic because of the recording. So the question was, we have SharePoint on-prem. Do I need to get Office 365 to get all these updates? So the way SharePoint on-prem works is that we release every few years. So the next release is going to be in 2015, and we already announced that. And the innovation that we released is a lot of it will show up on-prem. For that to be able to get it in the pace that we're releasing it, you need to be an Office 365 customer, which is a subscription service, and you just get it as soon as we roll it out. And so, yes, the innovation here, the on-prem customers, some of the things work, like some of the mobile apps, but not everything will work. And so when we look at OneDrive for Business over the past year, we've seen explosive growth. And so this is just data that now, the nice thing about having a service and Office 365 and SharePoint Online is that we're able to actually see a lot of the usage data that before we needed to do research in order to find out. And so we've seen an explosion of monthly active users. Not only the user growth, lots of content, in petabytes of content, 500% year-over-year growth. And we see this growth in SharePoint Online. We definitely see growth in team sites. But boy, the OneDrive for Business is hockey sticking. And so you see more and more customers are just like leveraging that. And that's not a surprise. It's like if you think about it, file sync share is exploding. People expect that it's the easiest thing to roll out to users, to the end users, and really meet the business needs. So a lot of time when I talk to customers, the first thing that they need to address for the business is around the file sync share. And so OneDrive for Business is a great solution for that. And so definitely lots of content out there, lots of customers. I put here, I asked the team just to put a slide with some of the customers that are using OneDrive for Business. So that's, sorry if we didn't include you in your OneDrive for Business customer, but a bunch of customers are actually using the service. I have a video here. Let's see if it's going to play with some.
It's very important that file sharing becomes mainstream. The users now have the ability to do something once and have the file move to many devices that they use.
We really want people using OneDrive for Business, and they will be able to share documents, to work on documents. It's very useful for us.
OneDrive for Business allows you to share files, collaborate internally in the university, Mobile devices really all of a sudden become in sync with what your traditional work environment is coming into play with. That same file that you're editing on your laptop or your tablet is all of a sudden being updated on your smartphone as well.
I can go to my tablet, I can go on my phone. Anywhere I am, if somebody asks me the information, I can pull it. And my team members can pull their information also.
If you go to OneDrive for Business and you want to share a file with Fred, it's like click the ellipses, share with Fred. You know, it's done.
There's other times when our documents are just not going to be accessible. And if I'm going into the bottom of a water treatment plant and I need some diagrams about it, if I change anything, I know they're going to get synced up again when I get back.
All my files are synchronized in one single location. I do not have to care for backup.
The power of a tool like OneDrive that allows users to be able to modify, view, update, change, or create a single document that can be accessible across multiple devices will truly enhance our users. It's there, it's available to them, no matter which device they want to use.
Okay, so I want to talk about two of the customers that you've seen here just as stories and examples. So one of them was the University of Washington, near and dear to us because they're local to Seattle. They have 140,000 students and staff using OneDrive for Business for document storage, for sharing, all able to work and share together as if they're just one company. The one thing that they love about OneDrive for Business is the ability to build custom solutions on top of OneDrive for Business. So turn in assignments, so students can turn in assignments. They can work with other peers on assignments. The nursing department actually created a solution to collect data from patients and pushed it to Excel. One of the key things that also made them choose OneDrive for Business was the HIPAA certification. So because of nurses and patients, they really needed HIPAA certification. So that was one of the use cases that also helped them choose OneDrive for Business. Another story that I wanted to share was the Walsh Group, the Walsh Construction Group. This is the classic of remote employees where they're working on a site. They're not at the office. They don't always have a desk and a laptop, and they are using their devices. They just need to work on files, share plans. And so this is, again, one of those classic cases. When I showed this slide once, they told me that you should change the picture. Instead of a picture of a city, you should put a picture of a remote site. So next time, I'll do that. And so, again, like really, really great stories from customers. But I also wanted to just get deep into the product and start showing you how it looks like for those who haven't used it before. OK, so I'm going to start here from my surface here. And I'm going to go here. For those who are not familiar with Office 365, this is the Office 365 navigation bar. So it gives you a way to access your email, your calendar, your people, your Yammer conversations, your files through OneDrive for Business, your team sites, and so forth. And so what I see here is I see here actually the new updated UI. So this is the user experience that we just started rolling out last week. And so some of you may have already seen it. You see that we, based on customer feedback, we just update the UX to make sure that we make it really streamlined for users to use. And so you can see the most popular actions here at the top. So you can, right from here, create a new document. You can upload a document. Most people just do drag and drop, but you can definitely do it in a different way. You can sync, and so sync and get it into your local drive. And you can just visually see what's going on with your files. So I have here different folders, and I have here an icon that allows me to see if a document is private, means it's locked, no one else can access it, or if a document was actually shared with other people. I also wanted to point out what I have here on the left-hand side. And so this is also, some of it is pretty new. And so, of course, I have my documents, all the documents that I shared. I also have the documents that I follow. And I have here the view that I shared before, which is the shared with me. So every time someone shares either a folder or a file with me, I can see the files here. And so there is one place for me to go and access all the documents, whether it's my documents or documents that are shared with me and I care about. Another view that we just recently added is the site folders. And so a lot of time people tell me, I care about documents that are in my OneDrive, but I also care about documents that are in team sites that I follow and documents that are in those document libraries. And so we added site folders. It means that every time that I follow a site, I'm going to see the document library from that site. So I can go here and just see for each site the document library for that site. The other thing that we recently added back after demand, popular demand, is the recycle bin. So the recycle bin is back here in the OneDrive for Business. The thing to see here and to note as well is the recent documents. It shows me all the files that I opened, that I edited, that I saved on any Office client endpoint, including desktop, including mobile, or browser. And it roams with me across devices. So you can really easily pick up where you left off. And so if I just worked on my Surface and I worked on a certain document, and I then go home and work on a different machine or on my phone, I can easily just go back and see my recent documents roaming with me. So yesterday, I went here and I opened my, I no longer carry USB keys, so I opened the presentation here from OneDrive for Business, and I opened my Word document, and my PowerPoint document, and I saw all the recent files. And I almost got freaked out because I'm like, I don't want all the people here to see all my recent documents. But again, it just shows you it's my profile. As long as I put a password, I can go and attach it and access it. And yesterday at the keynote, Brad Anderson and Julia talked about MDM, Mobile Device Management, in Intune. And so that's going to be very, very relevant here, where if you can access all your documents for every device, you definitely want to make sure that you have the ability to manage that. And we're going to have that built in with Intune and Office 365. And so, so I showed you like how the UI looks like. Now I want to show you how easy it is to just add content and across PC and other devices. And so I can just go here and do a very easy drag and drop. So I have here a great new document. And I'm going to just take it here. And you see like it's going to be hopefully fast and easy. And once I have this great new document here, which I could have done the same thing, just dragging the great new document into the OneDrive for Business folder that is exact copy of all my files on the browser. I chose to do it here, and I don't know why it's taking so long. OK. So I have here this great new document. And now I can click here on the ellipses. I see that it's not shared with anyone, and I actually want to start sharing it. And so I'm going to click here. And I see the, first of all, the rich preview of the document. So you can see here the Office integration, the deep Office integration allows me to just have a very high fidelity view of the document. So I can scroll in and see if this is actually the document that I wanted to share. And it is. I can also see here, I can edit the document. I can share. And so let me do that. So I click share, and I have the sharing dialog. I'm going to share with Julia. And so I can decide if Julia can view or edit. In this case, I actually want her to edit. I want a co-author. I could have actually added here more people that are outside the company. And then I can decide if I want to require them to sign in or not require them to sign in. For people that are outside the org, I can also get a link. And so, which either view or edit. And so just to share anonymously. And I can see who the document is shared with. So currently, no one. And so I'm going to click here and share it with Julia. The one thing that I wanted to call out is that I talked about external sharing. This is an option that you can turn on or off for enable or disable for different site collections. And so when we get to the admin piece of the demo, I'm going to talk more about that. But essentially, it's really easy for you to allow external sharing with, but require sign-in, or just allow anonymous sharing. And so orgs or even different business units can define that for their business. And so now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here into my great new document. And I can see that Julia, that I shared the document with, is already editing this document. And so we can easily collaborate. I can see the changes that Julia is making to the document in real time. It's like Lukman, no hands. So no hands. I'm not touching the document, but someone's doing the work for me. That's awesome. And so really great experience for Office Online. And again, for those who've worked with Office Online before, we're innovating in Office Online as well in a rapid pace. And so you're going to see more and more on the co-authoring, on the experience, and so forth. And so let me go back now. Thank you, Julia. And let's go into this PowerPoint document. And so again, I have here the rich previews, very high fidelity. I can go and scroll through the document. I don't even need to open it, not in Rich Client and not in PowerPoint Online. And so indeed, this is the document that I was referring to. Now I want to talk about this, so the ability to post to Yammer. And so I want to work with many people on this, say the entire marketing team. And so I'm going to now click here, Post to Yammer. And hey team, check it out. I actually want that Garth specifically will have the ability to see this document because he is very relevant. I want to post it, but I don't want to just post it to everyone, to the company feed. I want to specifically post it to the marketing group. And so let's do that now. Post this document. And now switch and go to Yammer. And hey team, check it out. I just posted it here 10 seconds ago. And so I can work on the document. I can share it with everyone. Oops. And I can, again, carry and see what other conversations are here inside of the Yammer feed. So again, really easy way. The way we think about social is, and for those who attended the social session yesterday, we think about social and conversation, documents and conversations as things that should come together. And so when you have conversation about a document, it becomes a lot more relevant than just a conversation. And so the ability to marry documents and conversations and the ability to have social in place where you need it is something that we're going to continue and invest in. And so I see here that I have here one more message, one new message. And so I see that Garth already commented on the document, and that's great, and we have a conversation on that. So let me open the document before I move on. Let me open the document in PowerPoint Online and take a look at the document. We talked about the post to Yammer. I also wanted to show the other integration point that we haven't released yet but is in the works, which is this. And so the Yammer conversations. We talked about having the conversations where you need them. And so one place where for people who live and breathe in Yammer, it's great to have the conversations there. But for people who are mostly in their documents, that's where they do their work. We want the conversation to be side by side, and that's where you see here. So you see the conversation side by side with the document. So I talked about the conversations. I wanted also to touch on search. And so we recently introduced, again, rolling now, a new smart search. And so now I have a type ahead experience when I start typing, and I can see all the documents, whether it's my documents or documents that were shared with me, that I can go. I get here hints on why I got a document, and now I can also take actions, and I can click share right from within that search box. So again, this is a feature that we just rolled out, and so once you click the share, you're going to get the exact same sharing dialogue and the same sharing experiences you get everywhere that you click share. Another thing that we call out, I called the edit, share, and post. I also wanted to call out that we have more options, more things that you can do with a document here, more actions. Those actions are actions that are not as popular as the other ones. And so see version history, check in a document, and so forth. And so all the things that you could do with SharePoint, you can definitely apply to OneDrive for Business. It's the same type of activities. But the thing is that it's not going to be right there for you, because that's where we put the most common activities. So if you do want to do that, if you do want to do workflows, for example, you can do that right in place. However, it's something that is going to require an additional click for you. OK, so we talked about the deep connections with Yammer. We talked about the deep integration with Office Client and Office Online. I also wanted to talk about other integrations across the suite. So I mentioned making OneDrive for Business de facto for everything documents. And so let me do this right now. So I'm going to write a new email to Julia. And I want to insert a document. So I'm going to insert an attachment, because that's what I'm used to do. And I'm going to go here to a great new document. And now I get, this is not yet available, but it's in the works, and so it's pre-production. I have here the ability to send a link or to attach a copy. So now I can click Upload to OneDrive as a link, and so Julia is going to get an email with the link to the document, rather with heavy attachments that are not the most current one. And so now I have one version of the truth. It's the document in my OneDrive for Business, and everywhere where I share it, people are going to have just that link to the most recent document that I can continue and update. And so once I click that Send to Julia, she's going to get an email. And now when I'm going to go back to my OneDrive, to my attachments folder, I'm actually going to see the great new document that I shared. So there's also an ability for me to have access to the OneDrive for Business, and that's the place where Julia is going to start collaborating with me on the documents. The other piece, of deep integration with Office is, of course, search and the new search experience. And so let me go to Oslo. And so Oslo is a new app. It's not yet available. It's going to be available later this calendar year. And it's based on a new concept that we introduced, which is called Office Graph. The idea of the Office Graph is that it connects objects, content, and activities and signals across everything in Office. And so if you have a person and they are sharing a document, then there is a relationship with that person and that document. If someone is commenting on a conversation, or if someone is writing an email to a person, then those people are connected. And so we build that knowledge of the Office Graph, and the underlying Office Graph is going to power a lot of experiences in Office 365. One of those experiences is related to content and related to search, and that's the Oslo. It's a code name. It's not the final name. And so this is codename Oslo. It's, again, a new search and discovery experience. And so now I'm going to find here each card represents a document. And so now I can see for each document why this document actually matters to me. So it brings me all the information that I might care about, whether it's because the content is trending around me, whether the document was modified by me. For example, the FY14 market research was modified by me or viewed by me. Whether a document was shared by, so here it's shared with me, and so forth. So really gives you a rich experience around content. And so if I go here to FY14 market research, I'm going to see that document. Hold on. Sorry. So I'm going to see that document. So this is the PowerPoint Online, so I can view the document. If you remember the Yammer conversations from before, they exist here. They exist everywhere that PowerPoint Online exists. And so I have here a few comments on Yammer, and I can close them off here. And so I can, again, view this document and scroll around and work on the document. I can go back, and I'm going to be able to see here different views that Oslo gives me. Some of the views are out of the box. So for example, I probably care about documents that were presented to me. How often does it happen to you that a PowerPoint was presented to you, but you have no idea how to find it? And so this is an easy way to find content that is relevant for you, whether it was presented to you, whether it was modified by me, whether it was shared with me, trending around me, and so forth. So these are all pre-canned views. I can also search for any document or search for people. And so let's see what happens when I search for Bill Bear. So I'm going to go to Bill, and I can see, first of all the relationships that matter. So I can see who's his manager, peers, what people he works with, what people both of us work with. I can also see all the documents that are trending around him, again, trending around him in the Office graphs. And so they are brought here in line. And so one of these documents is here, the Journey to the Cloud. And it's actually a video. And that video is playing from the new video portal that we announced at SharePoint Conference. We haven't released yet. It's going to come soon. But again, the ability to streamline videos, the video content is coming here as part of Oslo. So again, really rich experience, rich discovery experience. You can, OneDrive for Business now is directly connected. Oslo is directly connected to OneDrive for Business and surfaces all the information that matters for you and bringing information to you that probably you didn't even know exists. I have some really cool stories where folks on my team, when I worked on the SharePoint Conference keynote, actually found out about the thing that I do without me having to tell them about it. And again, Oslo respects all the sharing permissions, so people would only find out about things that are actually they have access to. But a lot of time, we don't actually take the time to tell people about the work that we do. And so this is a really nice way for people to find out what's going on in their org, what kind of documents their engineering counterparts are working on, what kind of documents are their sales counterparts working on, and so forth, really connecting outside of your immediate team and doing that in a way that is very relevant for you. OK, so far, we talked about the OneDrive user experience. We looked at the user experience, the new views. We talked about the productivity experience across co-authoring, across Yammer, across Search and Oslo, across email. Now I wanted to show a bit of the cross-device. And so let me switch now to iPad. And so I have here on the iPad, I have here all the Office apps for iPad that were recently launched about a month ago. And so let me open one of them, PowerPoint. I'm going to create here a new document. I'm going to call it Tech Ed. What did I do? Tech Ed. Worked. Demo. Yes. OK, great. Now I'm going to try and save it. So I'm going to save it to my documents. And so, oh, I didn't call it. Let me do it again. OK. Now I'm going to go back and go to OneDrive for Business. So this is my OneDrive for Business app. And so should help me. Yes, I found here the TechEd presentation that I just updated. So I opened it on Office for iPad. I saved it to OneDrive for Business. Now I have it on my OneDrive for Business app. Now that I have the document, I can do many different things here. I can share the document, so I can add more people to actually see the document in the same way that I was able to do before. I can have them view or edit. I can take the document offline. So the document is now offline with me, and I don't need to have connections. I can go back and edit the document in Office for iPad. So I can just do that in PowerPoint for iPad. And so let me go back here. And I can co-author like everything that you would expect. Once I'm in the PowerPoint for iPad, I can co-author a document. And so if I go here to the great new document that we had before, can go here. Of course, I see already. I see already that someone changed the document. I can also see if Julia is still in the document, if she's making more changes, and so forth. So again, exactly what you would expect for a cross-device experience. Let me go now to my Android device. So that's going to be here. OK, so I am on my Android device right now. And so we don't have yet an Android native app, but we do have a great experience and an Android native app coming soon. And so this is the mobile touch experience. It's been out there for some time. The mobile touch experience is pretty slick. It almost feels as good as a native app. And so you have here the My Documents, and so exactly the same view that you have on your browser. And so you have your My Documents. You can go and you can share a document. The same sharing dialog that you had before is available here. And so you can share the document if it ever comes up. OK, you'll need to trust me on that one. It works. OK, it did work. So I could, let me do it again. OK. Oh, no. You can't do a presentation without having that, right? So. One more time, and then we're going to give up on the. OK. We'll just give up on that, because that's not a friendly message, and go back to the Surface. So if it does come back at some point, I'll go back to it. But essentially, never happened to me, but the mobile touch design is a very rich experience. It gives you exactly the same experience that you'd expect. It gives you the My Documents. It gives you the Shared With Me view. And so you can do everything on a very, very touch-friendly experience on your mobile device. So this is what we have now across every machine that you want to have. If you want to use that, you can use that. On the way is an Android native app. And so we announced at the SharePoint conference that one is going to come later this year. And so we're committed to doing that. OK, so I talked through multiple things. I talked through the user experience. I talked through the cross-platform. Now I want to switch gears and talk a bit about the admin experience. And so for that, let me go here. And so I'm going to go here to the admin portal and go to the SharePoint admin experience. I'm going to go here to settings. And what I wanted to show you here is the external sharing. And so now you have here the ability, a CIO can set this up for the entire tenant. And so you can decide that you don't want to allow sharing at all outside the organization. You can allow external users who accept sharing invitations and sign in as authenticated users. Or you can allow both external users who accept sharing invitation and anonymous guest links. So they get a link. And depending on that, the user experience will apply to that. And so if you don't set it up, you're not going to be able to do that through the user experience. Now, after the CIO set it up for the entire tenant, a business unit can go into a specific site collection and, oh, sorry. And now decide if the site collection should also be allowing external sharing or not. And so very granular control across the different owners. And so you can easily do that. The other thing that I want to show you is pretty new, and that's across Office 365. And so I went now to the Office 365, and I want to go to Reports. And so what you're going to see is I have one central location to see all the reports across Office 365. I can look at my email, my DLP, and I'm going to look at SharePoint. That's where the OneDrive for Business reports are going to come. And so you're going to have here pre-canned reports. And so you have here OneDrive for Business sites deployed. You can have and see the OneDrive for Business storage, the tenant storage metrics, the team sites that are deployed, and so forth. In addition to that, we're working on additional reporting, so a lot more on the reporting front that is going to come through later this year. But I wanted to show you, even in the meantime, what you can do just with PowerShell. And so let me open here the PowerShell. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to connect to the service. So I'm going to put here the password. That worked. Now I'm going to go here. And this is going to allow me to get all the users in this site collections, everyone that touched anything in this site collection. The same thing I can do for external users. So in the same way, I can now get SPO external user and see all the external users that are in my site collection. I can also run 3 lines to get all the users across 3 site collections. And so let me do that. Oops. Missing a G. So I'm running this 3 commands, and then it's going to create a file for me, this TechEd North America report that gives me all the users that are for each of those site collections. So again, those are reports. There is a lot of things that you can do today with PowerShell. We want to actually make it really easy for you and make it available through the UI, and we're working on that. But even in the meantime, there is a lot of things that you can just get through PowerShell. The last thing that I wanted to show you on the management piece is something that we also showed at SharePoint conference for the new data loss prevention capabilities. And so yesterday, it was announced at the keynote, and I also wanted to demo some of that. So let me go here. And so what I'm going to show you here is the Unified Compliance Center. And so we're making it really easy for users or for compliance officers to just have one place to manage all of the compliance needs, whether it's auditing and reporting, whether it's data loss prevention, whether it's e-discovery. So one unified console that allows you to check for documents, preserve documents, and so forth. And so the demo gods are not working with me today. Okay, let's see if this works. And so when I'm in the Unified Compliance Console, I can now have a new type of search. And the new type of search actually allows me to search for sensitive data in my organization. So for example, if I heard that there is a problem that a company was sued because they were using UK passport numbers, and I want to make sure that what is the use of UK passport numbers in my organization, I can go here to this new type of search, and now I have here a new classification type that allows me to search for a bunch of out-of-the-box classifications, and passport numbers is one of them, but also credit cards and Social Security. And now, click search, and find here all the documents that have this sensitive document. Again, all out of the box, all part of Office 365. And so now I found that I do have a few documents that have this sensitive data, and that's really good to know for me because I can actually take action based on that. So I can now export these documents, or I can delete the documents, or I can actually see who viewed that documents. And so in SharePoint now, I'm sorry, in Office 365, but also for SharePoint, we allow content viewing, so view audit. And so I can go here and generate a report and find all the users that had access to these documents. And now I can, again, work to make sure that these documents are, if they had actually, if they're part of the HR department and should be recruiting the right people and so have the right access, or if it's people that are not supposed to have access. We're going to invest more and more in DLP, and so and in auditing and reporting. And so the same thing that you see us today do with Exchange, and how easy it is to apply policies and have tooltips and have all of the data loss preventions or things that are going to come to SharePoint already coming with regards to this, and we're going to carry on forward with that. OK, so I'm going to go switch back to slides. And talk a bit about the coming soon. So I did talk a lot about new things that are already available and new things that are coming soon. We'll finish, and then we'll open for questions, because we're almost done. So some of the things that I showed you, again, this is a slide from maybe 2 weeks ago, so it's already not up to date. And so Spring, so that's now. Smart Search, Simple Controls, those are already available. We just posted a blog about that. Document Conversation, the Yammer Document Conversation is coming. Later in 2014, we announced at the SharePoint conference that MaxSync Client is in the works. We're going to have that available by end of this calendar year. Native Android app, as I mentioned. Data loss prevention capabilities. They're going to roll out starting July and moving forward with more and more capabilities. More auditing and reporting. We keep investing in those capabilities, in management capabilities. Mobile device management, so the things we announced yesterday, and there is going to be more that will come by end of this year. Encryption at rest. Yesterday at the keynote, they talked about having encryption based not just on an encryption key, not just based on a key, but based on a file. So really allowing to have a separate key for each file that is stored in SharePoint Online or OneDrive for Business. So really making sure the documents are secured. That's going to come in. It's going to start rolling out, and it's going to come in by end of this year. Oslo and Office Graph. So everything that I showed to you about Oslo is going to come later this year. And again, this is not a comprehensive list. There are more and more things coming. We're not stopping to innovate. We keep innovating. Again, like every feedback that I hear from you is definitely going to come back to our engineering teams, and we're going to continue and innovate and make the product better and better. Recent announcements, for those who haven't been following, I just wanted to make sure that you know all the recent announcements that we've made around OneDrive for Business. 2 weeks ago, we announced increased storage. As part of that announcement, we announced 3 things. One was that we're increasing the storage from 25 gigs to 1 terabyte per user. The second is that OneDrive for Business is now available also as part of Office 365 Pro Plus. And I'm going to have a slide in a second about with the different services and SKUs. And also that we're going to help migrate data from existing solutions to OneDrive for Business. We're going to help customers with that. So for people who are not familiar with Fast Track, we have a Fast Track program that is all about helping onboard and customers to 365. And part of that is going to be about this offering help to migrate. The things that we've announced a month ago at the SharePoint conference, the standalone offer. And so until now, you were able to get OneDrive for Business as part of SharePoint Online or as part of Office 365. We now have a standalone offer for OneDrive for Business. It's a new offer. It started, it became available on April 1st. It has, like everything, like every OneDrive for Business service, it has 1 terabyte of personal storage per user. It includes Office Online, so all the great integration that I showed you today. And it's really, really like the pricing is really compelling. It's $250 for with a promo pricing, and even $150 for existing customers. But you can find all of this out on the web. And then the last thing that we've announced was Service Pack 1 enhancements. And so with SharePoint SharePoint 2013 Service Pack 1 that was released end of February, we now have new admin panel for SharePoint on-premises that enables you to tick off and say, I want OneDrive for Business in the cloud. And so I want my existing investments of SharePoint to be on-prem, but I want to enable OneDrive for Business in the cloud so that I can take advantage of all this rapid innovation that the team in Microsoft is doing. I want to make sure that my OneDrive for Business is in the cloud, and so that external sharing and mobile and all of that is easy. Again, it's a very, very natural workload to have in the cloud. We know that not everyone is ready to move all of their on-prem investments, but OneDrive for Business is one of those easy steps into the cloud. And so with Service Pack 1, we just made it extremely easy to do that. Right after this session, at about, I think, 4:45 or 5, in this room, there is a session that is all about that third announcement. And so all about how you can enable OneDrive for Business in the cloud with SharePoint 2013 on-prem. So for folks that are interested in that, definitely stay for that session. If you want to have a competing session at the same time, there is an Oslo and Office Graph session as well. And so you'll have to pick and choose between two really relevant and great sessions that are following this one. We make it really easy for you to get OneDrive for Business, whatever offer you're using. And so there is a standalone SKU. That's the one on the right-hand side. There is OneDrive for Business is a core piece of SharePoint Online. So any SharePoint Online user has OneDrive for Business as part of that. If you are an Office 365 Pro Plus user, that means the people who are using the Office client apps as part online, then it's part now of the Office 365 Pro Plus, and so that's a new thing. And then, of course, any Office 365 suite, so the enterprise, the small business, any suite of Office 365 has OneDrive for Business. So a lot of customers don't even know that they own it, but if you own, most likely if you're an Office 365 user, you already own OneDrive for Business and have this as part of your agreement. Calls to action, and so go give it a try. It's a really great service, and it's getting better and better as we speak. It is extremely cheap. It gives you tons of storage, and it has all the great integration with Office, with Yammer, with Search, and so forth. If you are a SharePoint 2013 user, definitely deploy the Service Pack and try to get started with OneDrive for Business in the cloud. You're going to get all the goodness as part of it, and you don't have to. You can do it in a phased approach. Another thing that I wanted just to say here before I finish is we just recently, about 2 months or 2 ago, we created a IT Pro Yammer network, and that's publicly available. Everyone can join it. And we do have a lot of activities happen there for IT Pro, and actually we're going to open that up for devs as well. And so a month ago, we had a OneDrive for Business Yam Jam where all the people from the product group were there to answer questions. And we're going to have more and more of those across Office 365. So I just encourage you to join that and join the conversation. And so with that, I'll open it up for questions. If you can just go to the mic so that people on the recording can hear that as well.
In relation to the administration of this, how do you see that we can, a lot of customers have or are using redirected folders, etc. Will there be some kind of new group policies for us to enable this for redirecting our shell folder libraries to OneDrive for Business?
So redirecting from SharePoint on-prem to OneDrive for Business?
Yeah, but no, from our end, we have redirected all our files and folders for file share, for example. But if we want to utilize the OneDrive for Business, then of course we want to redirect this to the cloud. How do you see this coming?
So everything about connecting SharePoint on-prem to OneDrive for Business, I encourage you to stay for this session. But if you can't stay for the session right following this, definitely come to the booth and we'll help you figure out exactly the scenario. It should be pretty simple, and if you go to if you don't attend the session, see the recording. We have a step-by-step direction on that and documentation as well.
Thank you. Can you tell me when they're going to have selective sync for OneDrive?
Can't see. Oh, here. So this is. I have nothing to announce today, but we definitely hear their request, and so.
Selective.
Sorry, the question was when there is going to be selective sync, and the answer is I have nothing to announce, but we're definitely hearing that feedback.
For the encryption, do we have the option to own our own keys, or are the keys owned by Microsoft?
Oh,
the encryption keys, yeah.
So at this point, what we're talking about is our own keys. And you can find a lot of, like we have blog posts about the specific announcement, but at this one, at this time, it's our keys.
Thanks.
Do you know, hi.
Yeah.
When the Windows Mobile OneDrive app will work for on-premise?
The Windows Mobile app, I believe so. I can check for you in a second, but I believe it does work for on-prem.
Not yet.
It doesn't work on yet? I can check for you, but it should work, I think. But if you can come here, I have a table. Let me see. I have a table right. Sorry, I don't actually have it here, but oops. Okay, I now missed everything, but sorry. Sure, I'm going to be in the booth right after, so you can come and ask me that.
When a user has been deleted, termination, or whatever, they've obviously got maybe dozens, hundreds of files shared amongst other people. What happens to those files? Are they continue to be shared? And how do they get reclaimed into a more persistent format? Can you take ownership of them, move them around, et cetera?
Right, and so this is how the IT can define a policy for this. They can define a policy of what exactly to do when a user leaves the system. And so you either roll it under the manager, or there is a way for you to define what's happening with those documents.
Thank you.
Hi. Any ability to sync images and video to OneDrive?
The question is if there is an ability to sync videos or pictures. Yes, you can sync anything. We do have a file size limit today, which is 2 gigs. And so if it's under 2 gigs, you can definitely do that. We are, again, working on moving the limits up as we've done until now.
I should have added on mobile devices.
Oh, and
is the ability on mobile devices? Yes.
So the question is if you can sync, if you can take it offline. And so today on the iPad.
Can you share it? So I have a video that I've done as a reporter, and I want to sync it up to OneDrive to share. How?
So you can. Oh, the question if you can upload it.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is yes, and again, depending on your device, you'll have different experience.
Okay. What booth are you going to be in?
We're going to be in the office booth.
Okay.
What were some of the MDM features you said were coming?
So yesterday at the keynote, Brad Anderson talked about MDM and Intune, and so that as part of, we're going to have the ability to open the Office apps and the OneDrive for Business and all of that in the Intune MDM experience. And so I'd encourage you to go either to see the keynote, or there is a blog post that is just calling out exactly what we talked about with regards to MDM.
Okay. Do you have in the roadmap two-factor authentication?
Two-factor authentication?
Yes.
We already have two-factor authentication, and so it's we have that for Office 365. You can set multi-factor authentication. For OneDrive for Business, you can do that with an app password today. So there is a way for you to do that, specifically for OneDrive for Business and as part of Office 365.
What can you tell us about the 20,000 file limit? Is that being worked on? Do you think we'll see larger limits later this year?
So I can't, again, there is nothing I can announce today. But as I said before, we're working on everything. And so in the same way that you expected us to move on other things, we're going to move on everything. And so we're going to make sure that we address those.
Thank you.
Is there currently a way to limit what type of file a user can load up or sync up, like say a .tiff? Is there any kind of filters for that?
So to define which files people
Can't load up.
Can't upload?
Yeah.
I am not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that. So
Okay.
if you want, you can drop me your card and I'll get back to you.
And along that same line, can we limit the size files by user, or everybody gets 2 gigs?
Everybody
for
gets.
file
So
size?
the way it works is it's part of the service. So the limit that you have is 1 terabyte for personal storage and 2 gigs on a file.
For a specific group, we wouldn't be able to say they can only upload a 500 meg file.
Not at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
So you talked about business, about people get deleted in shared files, but what about if a user leaves the company? What happens to their files if we need like e-discovery or business continuity type situations?
So there was a question here before about that, and it's up the admin, the administrator defines what to do with those files afterwards.
So
you
you
can
can keep
either
them
roll
around?
it to the manager, or I mean, there are many different policies that you can apply.
Okay.
But it's up to you to apply those.
Thank you.
This may be in line with the 20,000 limit, but also the unique characters to make OneDrive for Business more like standard OneDrive, where it's a little more friendly with pound signs, @ signs. That's one of our biggest user complaints.
And when did you try and use it?
Recently.
So I'll give you the answer.
I was hoping it was fixed.
We've done a lot of, this is a common feedback that we've heard, and we've done a lot of work on that. So I think we're down to maybe like 1 or 2 or something like that.
Very nice.
So essentially, most likely that you don't have those problems.
Okay.
But tell us if you do.
Thank you.
What capabilities are available to administrators in those situations where users have deleted file or folders?
So again, can you repeat the question?
What capabilities are available to administrators for those situations where users report that they've deleted files or folders they need restored?
So that would be, hopefully they backed it up. Hopefully there is a backup or disaster recovery and backup and restore. I don't actually have an answer right out of the top of my head, but there are options for you. So you probably know more than I do on that, and so on TechNet you should find the documentation on that. But again, if you don't, feel free to email me, and I'll find the answer for you.
You can restore from the site to site like that.
Right.
So if they delete it from their OneDrive, you can restore from the site to site like that.
Okay, so you can restore it, but again, I'm not deep on the details. Yeah.
Concerning DLP, you mentioned that you could use social security number or other numbers. Can you define your own type, like medical record number?
You can. So again, this is not in the service today. It's coming soon.
Oh.
And so when you ask the question, just make sure that it's not out there today. You can't play with it. However, there are going to be, I don't know the exact number, but a few tens of out-of-the-box classifications, and you can define more.
You can define your own?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's, again, not available today.
Is there any for admins, is there any capability for alerting or any reporting on sync issues currently available? And, I guess, how do you troubleshoot efficiently sync issues? Going down into the notification area, you see view sync issues, but how do you find those files, efficiently? And, I guess, is there any kind of report available on that currently?
So I know that there is for the user themselves, so the user can see detailed information of the problem that they have. Even they have a repair tool for that. I don't think that we have now today an admin way of looking across the sync issues. But send me an email and I can try and find out that for you.
Sure.
Are there any plans for the ability to place files on legal hold?
like possibly integrate with eDiscovery Center?
Sorry, the eDiscovery Center applies to this, so if I didn't make
it
that
does.
point clear,
Okay.
it's the eDiscovery Center, and it's probably because we missed the Unified Compliance Portal, but eDiscovery applies for OneDrive for Business. So you can add a OneDrive for Business location for all the employees to your eDiscovery Center and just do everything that you can do across any SharePoint site.
Interesting. Okay, so basically you can, as you're going through your Exchange and SharePoint, you can also go across your OneDrive.
Exactly.
Okay.
The way to think about it today is it's part of SharePoint.
Right.
So in the same way that you do any other site collection, you can do that for OneDrive for Business.
Makes sense. Okay, thanks.
You talked about the video portal, the ability to view videos on OneDrive for Business. Has it been released on-prem?
So the question about the video portal, it hasn't been released. This is something that we announced and demoed at the SharePoint conference, and we had a session at the SharePoint conference all about that, which is recorded on Channel 9. It hasn't been released. It's coming soon, and what it is today is part of 365. Again, the last on-prem version was a year ago, and the next one is going to be in 2015. And so.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. And I'm going to be at the booth as well. And so if you have more questions, feel free to come to the booth and become productive. Analytics everywhere. And so as we have all this social networks and as we have all this information overload, there is an expectation that I can get better insights, that the information can come to me, that I can have the tools to deal with that multitude of devices and information. And then, of course, compliance and control. When everything like that happens around you, you need to make sure that privacy, security, and compliance are still top priority for the organization. So the question is, are organizations prepared for that? And so just thought I'll bring a few stats from different researches. And so apparently organizations, 75% allow personal mobile devices for business use. Probably sounds familiar for most of you. However, only 25% of the organizations have a BYOD policy in place. And so not everything is as secure, as private, as compliant as it probably should be. 49% of work requires network contribution. You expect people to be on there. You expect people to actually understand what's going on, not just outside of their immediate work and immediate team. However, only 80% of employees are actually ineffective at, 80% of employees are actually ineffective at collaboration. And so we need to help them collaborate, help them share more easily. So 10K new federal and industry regulation created just in the last 5 years. But 93 of the employees admit to violating compliance policies. So we're really good at putting restrictions on our users, but then our users are just they're smart. They're just gonna go around it if we're not helping them do that in a way that works for them as well. And then 40% growth in global data generated in a year. 62% can use information for effective decision making. So again, when we think about the tools that we give our users, our employees, we need to make sure that we actually help them with this growth of information and growth of data. And so all of these things are some of the parameters that in the productivity of the user, that users can still be productive and we can help them actually stay compliant. And so all of those things apply for everything that we do in Office 365, but are super relevant for file sync, share. And so when we think about OneDrive for Business, all of this apply to the way we think about how we're moving forward, OneDrive for Business. We really want to make sure that we're creating great user experiences, allowing people to share, to broadly work on documents that they own and that other people own. We want to be able for them to find the right content as fast and as easily as possible. And we want them to easily work in compliance with the company's security, privacy, and compliance policies. So when we think about OneDrive for Business, we describe it in three pillars. Of course, it's all the files that you have in one place. So for those who haven't noticed or haven't followed, 2 weeks ago, we announced that we're increasing the storage per user for every user of OneDrive for Business to 1 terabyte. That's almost unlimited. So I don't know a lot of people who can get to that storage limit. And so now every OneDrive for Business user, whatever offer or service they're using, is going to get 1 terabyte of storage as part of that subscription. Anywhere access, of course, that we understand that people bring their own devices, and people work across devices. And so we want to make sure that users can access their files anywhere on any device. And so I brought here 3 of them. I could have brought more, but that was even challenging with those 3. And so essentially, we are committed to that, and you're going to see us. Over the past year, we released more support for mobile clients, and you're going to continue and see us do that. And I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. And then sync clients. So of course, have your files offline wherever you need them. We have sync client today for Windows, and we announced at a SharePoint conference that we're also going to have one for the Mac coming later this year. And so we're definitely committed for mobile and for sync clients for wherever you need it. But that's not only how we think about OneDrive for Business. The way we think about OneDrive for Business is also about getting work done together. And so when we think about teams, really making sure that you can share files internally and externally with anyone that you need to work with. We have Office client integration. So when we think about your files, we want you to have the best, the most high-fidelity experience and deep integration with the Office client so that you can work on documents, so that you can co-author documents, so that it's going to be extremely easy for you and extremely great to just work on Office documents and work together with others on those documents. And then the last thing is really about search and discovery. And so allowing you to find your documents, to be able to discover your documents. And that's in addition to the search experience that you have in the web browser, also what we're building now with Office Graph and with Oslo. And I'm going to demo that in a bit. When we think about get work done together, we think about OneDrive for Business as a core piece of Office 365 and a core piece of everything that you do. Whether you work with Yammer and want to have conversations on documents, it should be right there with it in the experience of OneDrive for Business. And so we're building deep integrations there. When you're sending email and you want to collaborate on documents, we wanted to make it super easy for you to just work on your OneDrive for Business documents. So every experience that you think across productivity should be deeply ingrained with OneDrive for Business. And that's where we're moving forward, and I'm going to demo a bit of that. And then finally, of course, a trusted enterprise-grade service. And so when we talk about compliance and responsible empowerment, we want to make sure that we take security, management, privacy, admin controls. It's all part of the service. And so you're saving your work files, and it's different than the way you'd approach just your personal files. Because your work files, you need to have e-discovery. You need to be able to have auditing and reporting. You need to be able to manage them. You need to be able to do data loss prevention so that if someone shares something with credit cards or with social security numbers or with passport numbers, you want to be able to easily avoid that and help the user understand that this is not an operation that the organization wants them to do or allows them to do. And so definitely, this is part of a trusted enterprise-grade service. When you think about SLAs, this is backed up by Office 365, so all the certifications guide us when we think about the new Office and the future of work. When we think about the next generation or even the existing generation of Office, we take into account a few things. Natural expressions. It's really all about creating great user experiences that would work across device, that would work across mobile, that would really resonate with end users and would let them collaborate and work seamlessly. We think about the social workplace. So making sure that people can work in the organization in the same way that they can work outside. So today, a lot of people are using social network outside their org. the flow of information that happens outside of work, usually they hear about things that are happening outside of their work faster than they would hear about things that are happening inside their org. And so we really want to make sure that we allow employees to work like a network, to work like they're connected. It doesn't matter hierarchies or org structures. Just make sure that the information flow in the org is as vibrant as outside of work. But again, with this flow of information and with the increase of networked employees, there is also the need for personalized insights. And so the ability for people to see the information that they need and for the information to reach them rather than for them to go and find this information. And when we talk about that later on, if you attended Julia's or the keynote yesterday and saw Julia's demo, when we think about things like Oslo and the Office Graph, those are the things that are enabling the social workplace and the personalized insights. So really making sure that the information that you need is at your fingertips. When we think about Power BI, so if you attended the BI session yesterday, and you think about how to really make sure that people can make decisions faster, and not just the people at the top or the business analysts, but everyone, every user that is using Excel can make powerful decisions through Power BI. That's how we think about personalized insights. And finally, responsible empowerment. We saw the stats. We know that users can get around everything, every restrictions, regulations that we think they comply with. And so really making sure that we make it easy for them to comply, that it's not coming, that the regulations and compliance and security and privacy is not coming in the Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to Houston, welcome to TechEd. Hope you're enjoying the conference so far, day 2, midday. Thank you for coming and attending the OneDrive for Business overview session. My name is Mikal Gideoni, and I'm a Director of Product Management for Microsoft from Redmond, in charge of SharePoint, part of the Office 365 team. And I'm really excited to be here and talk to you about OneDrive for Business. As probably you've noticed, and if you haven't, I'll remind that to you, this is a very evolving product for us, and takes a lot of our attention, lots of investments. We've made a lot of recent news over just the past months and weeks. And so what I'm going to do today, in the next 60 minutes or so, I'll cover first I'll take a step back and talk about the modern workspace and some of the challenges that organizations face. Then I'll talk about a bit of the future of work and office and the role of OneDrive for Business there, so introducing OneDrive for Business as part of it. And then the majority of the time, I'm actually going to spend in demos. And so I'm going to demo the user experience. I'm going to demo mobile experience across devices. I'm going to talk about the admin features and so forth. And so we'll spend a lot of time across those devices. I'll finally finish off with a bit of a roadmap and recap of the recent announcements for those that haven't been following those. And so, sounds like a good plan? Yeah? OK, great. So when we take a step back and look at the modern workspace, it has changed from, say, 10 years ago or even a few years ago. The workspace is very dynamic. And so not only that people have more devices, more options, but also we have different people coming to the workspace and expecting different expectations. Some of them are used to the way that they worked before. Some of them are coming with recent social networks and getting used to getting information at the right place at the right time. And so this is creating a bit of tension that we need to make sure that we solve. Device explosion. So more and more people are bringing their own devices to work and are bringing more than one device and expect everything to work seamlessly across those devices so that they can